Hello everyone. Today we will look at Python debugger and especially the method set trace. So suppose when you are writing a piece of code, it may be like if you have been writing Python, you may be maybe there is no error. The Python code is running absolutely right. Suppose if you wrote something for prime numbers, the code ran properly, but the answers are not coming right. You expect say 1, it's giving 2, you may be off by 1, or you are expecting some the values, the numericality is not perfectly matching. So you want to look into the code, and your lines is more, they have more number of lines, it's a more headache where exactly you want to pinpoint the problem is. So you want to look through the code, right? So now, for example, let us write a piece of code. Say start with x equal to 10, say y equal to 20, x plus equal to y, so x equal to x plus y, and print x. That's all our code. So what all I'm going to do is I'm going to for example I'm going to repeat this piece of code a few times so that to simulate so we have a piece of code here which basically is updating x several times. Okay, I just want to have a few more lines. So now after here, for example, suppose I want to check this piece of code. One thing you can do is, like, for example, I have many lines. I want to just I can for example, right, hash it out, hash this, set it out, and maybe like put in the middle of your code somewhere after 10 lines or something. If you are thinking I want to check up to 10 lines and check the variables there, you may have many variables. So I can put, and I hash out everything, and I can put a print, and then check it out. But rather than doing that, so I'm going to remove this. What I can do is I can, for example, I'm going to do from pdb python debugger import set trace, and this is we haven't seen before. I can put an optional as, so which basically what it does is that I can set trace, I can call with another name. For example, I can call it as trace. I'm overriding the set trace, and I like to call it as t, or maybe trace, or s, whatever. Now I can call, instead of set trace, I can say trace. I'm going to call that function or the method here. So what happens? So now I have 1 2 3 4 5 lines. I put a trace. Now if I run that, I went inside the Python debugger. So it shows that there's an error here. It shows that next line to be executed is print x. Now how do I look at where I am exactly? I can list it. I can say list. I can just say list. It will show you around the current line to be executed. This is the next line to be executed because trace is the breakpoint. So it shows me where I am, or I can say list, say 1 2, say maybe 15. So now I start from the very beginning, and I have 15 lines to look at, and this is the next line to be executed. So ideally, what is the value of x? I can now check, like in any interpreter, I can look at x equal to x, y, so now if you so if I now, for example, look at x and y, I can I see the x is 50, right? The next line, if I want to execute next line, I can just say n. So now it is printing, it has to print 50, right? So it's printed 50. When I put n, it is printing 50. Now it shows that the next line is updated. So n means next, the short form for next. I can put the command n. So now the next line, so if I list, I can say list, say 1 to 15, See, this is the next line to be executed. So the important point here is that I can do x, x comma y. I can do any any interpreter x plus y, or I can do x 2 like y star 2. So what all calculations that you want to do, you can do and check it here. So, or you can import any module, import sine, right? Import math, and then I can say math dot sine of x. I can depending upon the program that you wrote, you can do any kind of calculation and check. So, and again we can do n list, right? And then I can do n. So it is let's look at x. The next line to be executed is 70. So if I do n, it is going to print 70 because next line to be executed was print x, right? It showed this one here. So this is the idea of a Python debugger. And if you want, for example, open up a interpreter, actual Python interpreter, and do some calculation, I can do an interactive mode, and which is like same as like import sys module or import OS, whatever you want, you can do like a simple like a usual Python interpreter. So, and if I want to control out, I can do control D to come back to my interpreter. And now if I list, right, I am at 12. So if I just want to execute everything else, I can just put C, and then it will continue executing till the end of the file, and then it will come back to output. So, and I get out, so which makes C means continue to the rest of the code, and so it ran the whole thing. So this is the idea of a Python debugger. Especially we looked at a set trace. If you are interested to learn more about, you could just play with the look in the documentation at the Python debugger online, and look at, there are lots of many other interesting commands other than listing and the next n and interact. So this is the simple idea of the set trace method in the Python debugger, and it's very useful and powerful in debugging your code. Thank you very much for watching.